He will confirm a covenant with many, but who is he? Exploring the possibilities today in this important update on Makayo Messenger. Welcome to Makayo Messenger. It's great to be with you all today, and I have some very important things to share with you, kind of a where are we at in this end times world that we're living in, kind of an update of where we're at in the year, where we're at in this decade, and what are we really looking at, what is upon us here. So I want to kind of walk you through kind of where we are and what's the bigger picture of what's really going on here, because I think a lot of people are probably maybe a little confused, kind of wondering what's happening. And so I kind of want to give you a synopsis of that. I have a lot of important things to share in this video today, so I hope you'll stick with me because I'm going to be unloading a lot of interesting tidbits for you. But first, I want to tell you a little bit about the journey that God has had me on, just to kind of kick this off and to kind of explain that a little bit as well. Can you guys all hear me as okay out there? I see you say pre-recorded. This is not pre-recorded. I'm actually talking to you live right now. So does it sound good? Just making sure it sounds okay there. So if you can give me a thumbs up, I appreciate it. CF, good to see you. Good to see you, Martha, and good to see you, Nicole. And just want to make sure everything's sounding good. Sounding good? Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. So we're talking about the end times, right? And as we've been talking about the end times for, really since Jesus, I would suppose since Acts chapter 2 in Pentecost, the last days that Peter talks about. That's how long we've been talking about the end times as Christians. Thanks, Martha. Appreciate that. So, it's understandable that people have and develop many preconceived or pre-developed notions about the end times, about how it's going to happen, about what it will look like or what it won't look like, and will we be here to experience this or not be here to experience that, and will we know who the Antichrist is or the beast as he's called in Revelation or not, and all of these kinds of questions. And though that's understandable, right? It's understandable that we may develop certain ideas and certain expectations, and throughout generations that has happened, right? During the second WAR with the man with the funny mustache, a lot of people thought he was the Antichrist. And, if I had lived at that time, I probably would have chimed in with that to some extent because, the guy was taking over the world and he's, persecuting all the JEWSs, and you're thinking, well, he's certainly, he's certainly acting like one, right? And is just, destroying, pillaging, and plundering. So, it's understandable that you would think, oh, this is the guy, and he's putting marks on people's arms to identify who they are. And you could say he was a form of Antichrist. As John even said in 1 John, there are many Antichrists in the world. So, and I still keep that open. I'm not one to ever settle on any one thing. I'm always open to what God's going to reveal next. So what I'm explaining today is where we are today. This could change tomorrow. This could be a whole different situation tomorrow, and I'm not married to any of these ideas. However, if we're going to operate in the world that we are currently living in, we have to at least take an honest look at what we are living in. So, I've explored different people as potential antichrists in the past. Mr. O, as you can see, there's a video here of the snake in the grass. Mr. MUSK, he's also a candidate that I had explored. Mr. Macron, and so forth. And, I even had and still have a video in the works for Mr. T, comparing him with Nero and things like that. So, if things were to line up and point in that direction, I'd probably be working on that video right now. But they're not, okay? They're not lining up in that direction. So we always have to be flexible to what's actually happening, right? And so about a month before the coronation of this fine specimen right here, I thought, oh, interesting. This guy's going to be given a crown. And that was April 7th. I did the first video on this guy, April 7th. And that was this one, the crowning the Antichrist. And, when I first thought about it, I thought, gee, interesting. I never considered this guy. I haven't really thought much about this guy. But he is going to be getting a crown in a month, and it just happens to land on what seems to be true Passover, definitely second Passover on the Jewish calendar. So that's interesting. And, there's a lot there with the whole Royal family. And if you wonder why I spell things, it's so that I can give you these videos. Okay, interesting. Let me explore this. Well, now I had never looked into this before, never read any books on it, never studied it, nothing. Okay, nothing whatsoever. But boy, oh boy, did God start leading me down the path. And boom, 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 just things just started unfolding, and revelations started revealing. And I was like, wow, okay, this guy fits in more ways than I can even, my head is spinning. I can't even keep up. I'm going to have to do another video. That was a 3-hour video, the first one. Then I come back and do a 4.5-hour video. The next one. Then I do a 2-hour video. Then I do another 2-hour video. Then an hour and a half, gave you a break there. And then almost a 3-hour video again. That was just kind of initial 6-part series. Since then, there's been a ton of other stuff on this dude. Now, this is just a coronation. I have another one called Royal Khan of the Spire of the AC. And again, if you wonder why I talk like that, it's so I can give you these videos. So, okay, so I scroll down here, man. There's just tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons. It's overwhelming. Okay, frankly, it's overwhelming. So I'm like, okay, was not expecting that necessarily. It was just kind of another guy to explore, right? I have no dog in the fight. I really don't care if this is the guy or not. I'm just exploring him as a possibility, but. Wow, oh wow. Okay, wow, oh wow. Was there so much there? And so, and still is so much there. There was no end to it. So I did that, okay, and shared all that. Now this is April 7th. So when this journey started. Now, by the early May, I'm doing, then I'm kind of, I've kind of done his initial videos, and I'm saying, oh, look, he has a 7-year covenant. Isn't that convenient? And so then I started doing that. And as you see, I did that video, then the 2300 Days and Nights, talking about the upcoming SDG and COP and so forth. So, hey, thanks for subscribing there. Appreciate that. So, in any case, and then they even come out with their own 6 years, 24 days. So, here it literally says on the website, 7 years have gone, 7 years to come, and so forth. Well, okay, now when I first did those initial videos on the potential of him being the Antichrist, well, people are like, oh, that's not what I was expecting, right? He doesn't look like what I would think he would look like, or he's not this, or he's not that. Well, I've pretty much addressed all of those questions in the video, so I encourage you to go check those out. I don't think there's a stone I left unturned in terms of all the questions people had. Well, what about this, and what about this, and what about this? So be sure to go and check it out. I need to put it over in the other section, but it's here. Probably need to put it in the Antichrist section, but it's here under the Royale of the Khan of the Spire of the AC. So anyway, but I know people were like, well, that's not my idea. Okay, I get that, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter if it's our idea. What we have to deal with is reality, okay? So we're living in this reality. There's our kind of maybe fantasy idea of what we think the Antichrist will be, and may still be, okay? May still be. But we still have to deal with the fact that we're living in this reality, and in this reality, this guy happens to check a lot of boxes and still does, and as we're going to see today, is, if not the mastermind, at least one of the masterminds, it would appear, behind this 7-year covenant that is about to be confirmed, if you will. So people didn't, some people were like, yeah, some people no, okay, fine. When I brought this up, well, then people had no problem seemingly to jump on this bandwagon. I've seen other videos pop out since I put these videos out, also talking about the connection of the 7-year covenant and so forth. So some people didn't seem to have a problem with that one so much. But the problem is, you can't say yes to this, say yes to the dress, and no to the groom. No, you can't say yes to this and not acknowledge the elephant in the room. You see what I'm saying? That's why I'm calling this the elephant in the room, because you can't say, yes, this is the 7-year covenant, but then deny the elephant in the room. Well, then who is he? Who is he that confirms this 7-year covenant? Okay, so we're going to look a little bit at that today. And I encourage you to go back and watch these videos if you haven't. They are worth the time. They are packed full of stuff. And I'm going to try to cruise through this today because I'm on a limited time schedule myself. Have to attend to some family matters today. So I'm going to try to get through this as quickly as I possibly can. But definitely go back and watch these videos because they are chock full. Here's a short synopsis chunk that's only 19 minutes, so you can handle that one. This one's only 22 minutes, so I encourage you to at least watch those if you don't watch the full thing. Okay, let's talk today about S to the D to the GGG, okay? Sustainable of the development of the Goels, okay? Now, this is put forth by, ultimately, the trail leads back, and maybe I need to emphasize this throughout this study today, this dude right here, okay? This is the dude, okay, that it all goes back to. Now, could there be a team behind him? There could be. Yeah, there could. I mean, I imagine there is. I imagine he's got his own little posse of decision makers that are all kind of working together. But is he the guy they're putting, at the end of the day, somebody's got to be the one out there, right, with the crown on. There could be a whole team of Iagos behind him, a whole team of, whispering in the ears and so on and so forth, and people who are persuading this and persuading that. But somebody's wearing the crown. Right? Somebody was given the crown. Somebody's wearing the crown. Someone's calling the shots. Or at least publicly calling the shots. And that's what we're talking about. As of right now, everything is pointing back to this dude right here. There's no other dude that all this points back to. It certainly does not point to Mr. O. It does not point to Mr. T. Now, they may be involved, but it does not point to them. They are not the granddaddy of this whole master 7-year plan that is being confirmed this year. Now, if it turns out, hey, this isn't the 7-year plan, or that just is coincidence or something, okay, well, we can explore that at another point. But as of right now, it sure looks pretty amazingly similar to what is talked about in the Biblia, including Mark of the Beast and so forth. Okay, so let's keep going here. So the sustain of the bull, the develop of the mint, and the goals, okay? So you can go check this out for yourself. I encourage you to do so. I spent a lot of time the last few days, and I could have spent a lot more time digging into this. I encourage you to do so because there is a lot there. And you'll just click on link after link after link after link, and it'll lead you down all kinds of rabbit holes. But let me just give you a basic overview, okay? Now, this is... Oh, and I forgot to actually bring that up, which I kind of need to show you that real quick. Man, hold on one second. Let me just open that real quick for you. Because I have a video of this. Let me just show you this. See if I can... Is that it? Is this it? Hold on one sec. Bear with me here. Bear with me one second, because I just... I think it's this one. I don't know. I did not test this out ahead of time. Let's see what happens. Yeah. Okay, check this out. This is on your phone right now. Now, if you just type in global goals, as you saw there, then up will pop this app. And then they start showing you a series of... they're showing you the 17 goals that they have. This was not something that you downloaded. This was not something that you even know about. It's already there, okay? So when you're talking about Mark of the Beast, this is where it's going to start, guys. As of right now. Now, there's the terms and conditions. I just kind of cruised through there in case you wanted to go back and pause or play it slower and read through those or something. Now, it offered on there if you wanted to make it like your background. I didn't do that. And it also then asked to agree to the terms. I didn't do that either, though I'm tempted to, just so that I can see kind of what else there is to it. Now it says No permissions have been denied. These are all the permissions it gives you. It has challenges, donate with friends, donation progress, reminders, app updates, etc. And then it has links there for the different things connected. Now, this is under Sam of the Sung. Now, if you thought, for example, hey, I don't want Apple that I eat, just kidding, to be spying on me, which is already admitted that they do. You can't even get a camera blocker or a microphone blocker for that phone. Well, I'm going to use an Android, right? Well, Sam of the Sung has already sold out to this, okay? They've already got the Mark of the Beast on your phone. So go ahead and check that out for yourself. All you have to do is type in global of the goals without the of the, and you'll see the app there, and you can click on that if you so desire, and you'll see them play that for you. So they've already got you, okay? They've already got you, whether you like it or not. So here's just in a brief summary. They give you the goals here: no poverty, zero hunger, good health, well-being, etc. And it all sounds really good, but what it really means is, for example, no poverty means we're going to take away all your wealth and give it to somebody else. It means commune of the nism. Okay, that's what it means. Social of the ism. That's what it really means. Zero hunger means, you're not going to get to eat regular food anymore. You're going to eat synthetic food, and we're all going to eat the same thing, and it tastes like tasty wheat, like from the Matrix or something like that. On and on and on. So all these things, they sound good, but if you have learned anything about the devil, he's a liar, okay? He masquerades as an angel of light. So he paints you one picture. He attacks the other side for the sins that he's committing, while he presents you something, that is something good that he's not really going to do for you. So what this is really all about, guys, is they want to get rid of you, okay? That's really what this is about. Here's a quick overview of those 17 goals. But again, you can look at them on your own phone right now, if you happen to have a Sam of the Sung. It might be on the app of the poll as well. I didn't check one of those, so feel free to check that. But I had heard that it was on the Sam of the Sung, so found a Sam of the Sung, and I checked it on there. Now, here's a preamble. This is kind of like a new constitution for the world that they're I don't want to say they're trying to implement. They're implementing it. Now, whether we stop them from implementing it is another story, right? We have to do our part to say no and don't let it go through. But this is what they're doing. It's not a question of whether they are trying to do it. They're doing it. Whether or not you allow them to do it is another story. Okay, so and they call it high-level political forum. Now, they've basically taken over everything, including, like I said, your phone, because very shortly, I'm sure they're gonna require that you have to use that app, and without using that, you won't get acts. That will be your social of the cred, of the it, of the scorer, and they are going to require that of you, that you're going to have to use that for anything, and that everything you do will be monitored on that app, and so everything's been taken over. The U to the N, see, it says high-level political forum, okay, under the auspices of ECOSOC, and that's basically saying, we're taking over this normal meeting that would be for this, and we're using it for these 17 goals. Same thing with this one coming up in September, right? It's under the auspices of the General Assembly. I don't know if you can read that on there, but so they're basically saying, yeah, we're taking over with these SD to the Gs. That's the new to the world, to the order, okay? And so that's what's going on here now. But this is all about getting rid of you. As you can see, for example, on this family of the planning in Australia, they have it on their website. Well, as we know, and it's also here on a Planed of the parent in the hood, right? And it's on their website as well, because it's all about getting rid of you. These planning they're not planning. They're planning your elimination. That's what they're planning, as we well know. That they're, it's not family planning, it's family destroying, right? That's really what the goal is here. So, and here you can see what this is on the U to the N. And they're saying countries agree to accelerate action to fully implement historic plan on population and development, emphasizing importance to achieve the sustainable development of the goals. So basically, they're selling it to you as something good, but what it's going to be in the end is they're going to say, listen, we'd love for you to be able to have a family of 5, but we just can't manage it on the earth. The earth can't sustain you, which is a total lie. You can fit the whole population of the world in the state of Texas, but from what I have heard, so we can't let you have another child. In fact, we're going to have to take away the ones you have, and then we're going to have to donate their organs, so that other people can live, because it's just not fair, right, to the earth or to everybody else, because we're all in this together, right? We're all in this together. We're just trying to make this work, trying to help everybody survive. So we're going to have to get rid of a few of your kids. Sorry about that. But you understand, I'm sure you want to do it, right? Because you want to do it for the good of the world. So that's how they're going to sell it to you. So it sounds like, there's no more hunger. Yeah, because there's no more people. That's why there's no more hunger. Okay, so they don't care about people, obviously, right? That's why they, widely distributed a poison so that most people would die. That's their goal. As they show here on this page, when they talk about sustainable of the develop of the mints, they've got a picture of the poison, then it looks almost like they're spraying it on the plants, and then they have a picture of someone who is being technically oppressed, as a child, forced to live under a certain limitation as a female. Right, it's all subliminal. What's going in is like, you will conform to this, right? So very, very intriguing. Okay, let's keep going here. So ECOSOC, keep that in your mind, because you're probably going to hear that more. ECOSOC. Okay. I already showed you the phone. Let's keep going here. So this is the meeting a lot of people are talking about, but this is not the only meeting. Okay, this is 18th and the 19th, that's kind of the culmination. But really what this is getting all the nations on board. But then you got to get the people on the board, and that's where we get to the next meeting that happens. Mr. Chuckster, he is technically not in the political field, even though he's a KING that they call him. No, he's supposed to be representing the people, right? So he purposely would not be at this event, even though he's surely behind it and what's happening there, and may technically be around, but he won't be visible there. At least they wouldn't do that intentionally, because they want to kind of paint this picture like these are two separate things. But it's clearly that they're not. The fact that they actually use the exact same terms, the exact same rainbow colors that they're putting on there and so forth. But they want to try to paint this picture like this is a separate thing, has nothing to do with the Chuckster and so forth. He's of the people. He's just trying to serve the common good, right? And so this is a separate thing. This is to get all the nations to buy in, right? That's the thing. And that's what people don't realize. Like someone like the man with the funny mustache in the second WAR, he did everything legally. He didn't just take over as a dictator. He was a dictator, or the Führer of the Ruhr, but he actually passed laws. I mean, this was all done so that way it's on the books. That way everybody's signed into it. They've bought into it. It's a lot easier to manage people that way when they've already said yes, right? So that's what they're doing. It's kind of peer pressure. They're kind of putting on everybody like, you're going to sign in. You're going to sign up for this. And that's why they call it voluntary, as we'll see in a second. But so it really starts on Tuesday the 5th of September. That's really where things kick in. And then that high level, as they like to call it, high level time will begin on the 19th. So, and then it's going to continue past there to, before that, on the 16th and 17th, there's going to be an action weekend that's taking place. And then following that, on the 24th and 25th, there will be more high action happening. where they will get together about implementation. So all of this is being done without your vote, without your say. You're not here, you're not supporting this in any way. This is all being done, unilaterally, I guess is the term, or, they're just sort of taking over and saying, we're in charge and this is what we're doing. And your nation is going to comply because your leader said that you would, even though we didn't say that, right? We didn't vote for that. We don't want that, but they don't care, right? So they're trying to push it through that way, and that's why they're having this U to the N meeting, which really was designed to try to put an end to WARs, is what the U to the N was supposed to be doing, but instead they've really just been pushing forward the one to the world, AGENDA, and totalitarianism really is what they're really pushing forward. So here's a schedule of different things happening right now, culminating in September, but that's not the end, okay? That's sort of the political side of it with government leaders, okay? But then we get to the civil side, which is you, me, and Mr. King. Okay, so we'll get to that in a second. So here is what they call our common agenda. Well, it already implies that we all have a common agenda, right? And the whole, originally the U to the N was the idea, hey, let's come together as nations to kind of respect one another's differences. But their whole thing is to get rid of differences and we're all become one, which is a nice idea. That's a Christian idea ultimately, but it can only be done through Christ. When it's done through Satan, it's a horrific and horrible idea. It's been tried many times throughout history to much horror. And so when they call our common agenda, they're basically saying our dictatorship or our one to the world, to the AGENDA. So they say our common AGENDA is the Secretary General's vision for the future. So it's his vision, when it's really not his vision. It's come down from above. But, he may be involved in some way, but in any case, he's the one presenting it. So Secretary General's vision for the future. It's not your vision. It's not my vision. It's his vision, but you're going to have to abide by it. Of global cooperation, i.e. one world dictatorship, okay? It calls for inclusive, networked, and effective multilateralism, but really it's unilateralism, to better respond and deliver for the people and planet and to get the world back on track. Do we need to get back on track? My track was going just fine until these guys started messing with it. By turbocharging action on the S to the D to the G's, the sustain of the bull, the develop of the mint, the goals. It outlines possible solutions to address the gaps and risks that have emerged since 2015, calling for a summit of the future that will be held in 2024. Okay, so their vision is beyond this year. This is the first year of their 7 of the year of the plan to get to 2030. The choices we make or fail to make today could result in breakdown or breakthrough to a greener, better, safer future. The choice is ours to make. So they make it very dramatic. They make it very intense. They've got their weather of the mod of the vacations going on right now to try to convince you. And while they put stuff in the sky and in front of the sun to make it burn you a little bit more, so to try to convince you, like, oh yes, we need to do something, even though they can't really prove any of the things that they're saying. We request that the Secretary General report back before the end of the 75th session of the General Assembly with recommendations to advance our to the common of the AGENDA and to respond to current and future challenges. Okay, so that's what they're trying to put forward. I should say that's what they're putting forward. And then they say who we are, and basically they say we are in control of everything. We've got the food covered. They're talking about agriculture here. We've got the water. We've got, commercial enterprise. We've got labor organizations. We got everything. We got it all in our bag. So basically, they just want to kind of tie it up and say, kind of cinch up the top of the bag and say, okay, we got it all in our bag now. Now you're going to do exactly what we tell you to do if you want to exist in this world. So, and here he talks about hate of the speech. We must act now to strengthen the immunity of our societies against the bug of the HATE. So, and basically that's just a way to suppress free speech, right? So you have to understand behind all these things, there's another objective. and that is we don't want you to talk. We don't want you to have a voice. We don't want you to speak out against all this evil that we're doing. So we're going to call it HATE of the speech. Now they're calling it a voluntary thing that people can just sign a document and, oh, hey, we want to participate. But we know it doesn't really work like that. It's more of a peer pressure. It's kind of like, how voluntary was it for you to take the poison? Was that voluntary? Well, technically, right? But there were a lot of pressures that were put on you. And I'm sure in the same way, a lot of pressures are being put on all these quote unquote representatives and leaders to sign on to this AGENDA, right? So they all sign on quote unquote willingly on your behalf without you actually requesting them to do so. And they have what they call voluntary national reviews. And what that means is we're going to keep tabs on your nation and make sure it's doing what we tell it to do, right? Even though you didn't sign up for that, you didn't vote for that, but no, they're going to keep tabs on you. But this isn't just a nation whole. Oh no, we're going to get down to the individual level, and that's why it's on your phone, see? Because we're going to keep track of you personally. And are you doing your part to make sure that we fulfill these objectives? Because if not, we're going to come knocking on your door. We might have to take you to a special CAMP so you can be re-educated, to better follow these conditions that are on your app. So we're going to be, and now that we have it in this digital age, we can keep track of every individual on the individual level. So it's not just statistics anymore. It's not just, they're going to just kind of do national reviews to kind of see how we're doing. No. It's called national control, and they can control you on an individual level. So here's the supposedly voluntary people registering for voluntary action. There's the numbers of different, nations that have volunteered or groups representing different groups. So here's a couple of the things. So it's interesting kind of things that they're claiming to focus on. One of the things they talk about is women's rights. Everything they say, it sounds good. You're like, well, yeah, okay, everybody should be treated equally and so forth. But obviously they care nothing about that because they're already letting men take over sports that were previously done by the fee of the males. So they really don't care about that. They're trying to use that as a way to take things away from people who are in a position, say, of authority or something, so they can put in whoever they want, and also so that they can really get their TRANS of the gen of the DER going. And so really women won't have any rights. That's really what it will come down to, which is what we're already seeing, right? And they also want to focus on kids. Why are you so focused on kids? They talk a lot about focusing on children. Well, we already know, because they want to use the children for their own devices, and they want to give quote unquote youth a voice. But what they're really trying to do is they want to get rid of the age of the what they call con of the cent, right? So they want to put youth in a place. Well, hey, they can do that, then they can do everything, right? They can do everything we want them to do. And then it talks here about digitalization, that they wanted a digital economy, right? Getting rid of your CASH and forcing everybody to follow the digital plan and keep track of you and keep tabs of you in a digital sense. There's a lot to read on this. Like I said, I spent days reading it. I encourage you to go back yourself, go to these sites. It's public. Now's your chance. Go look at it, read it, click on link after link after link, and check it out for yourself, because it goes on forever. And they have hundreds of what you might call amendments that are part of these plans. Now, here's what they call the Addis of the Ababa of the action of the AGNDA. Now, this is all about funneling your money to them. As it says here, it says the action agenda establishes a strong foundation to support the implementation of the 2030 AGENDA for sustainable of the development. It provides a new global framework for financing sustainable development by aligning all financing flows and policies. Let me say that again. Aligning all financing flows. So anywhere money is going, they're going to align it all to you. And that's why it says in that app that I showed you that you can choose to donate, choose to give. That's going to become compulsory. That's going to be a thing of, sorry, you didn't donate enough to, this month to help the water supply, so we can't let you go on that vacation or that trip. And really that money's just going in their pockets, and They're really just keeping you poor. That's really what their goal is there. So it's aligning all the financing flows. All the money is going to flow and policies with economic, social, and environmental priorities. See? So you have to align. I don't know if you can see that on the screen there, but you have to align everything you're buying has to somehow be supporting and funding economic, social, and environmental priorities. Okay, so that everything you buy, everything you do has to somehow go to that, has to go to making that a priority. And that's how you're going to get points in the social of the credit of the system. Now, again, they paint it, it sounds good. It's like, I'm helping the environment, helping the world, and so on and so forth. Hey, I'm a guy who started, I was president of, and founder of my environmental group in high school, pre-Christian era. But nevertheless, I was like, hey, yeah, let's help the environment. It sounds great. But this is not what they're after. They're not really trying to help the environment. They're trying to control you. They want to control who you are, what you do, and do it under the guise of the environment, because you can use that forever. And it's never enough, right? So they can just take and take and take until they bleed you dry. It includes a comprehensive set of policy actions with over 100 concrete measures that draw upon all sources of finance, technology, innovation, trade, debt, and data in order to support achievement of the S to the D to the G's. Okay, so that's what's going to happen to your money, and that's how they're going to justify, we have to do it this way, right? It's going to go through that app that's already on your phone. Okay, and that's a little bit more about that. You can go check that out more for yourself. Let me keep going here. Okay, and, the U to the N, of course, that's the political arm. Then they've got the W to the H to the O, okay? Now that is also, it even has the same logo as the U to the N. It just adds the Nehushtan sign from the Bible, which is the snake on the cross there. But and some could argue it's from a pagan side, which you could say that as well. It doesn't quite have the cross going across, so it's more of a pagan one. But in any case, they have their own events going on. And this one kind of caught my attention. The W to the H to the O launches the One Life, One Liver campaign on World Hepatitis Day. I was reminded of the famous Monty of the Python skit, "We've come for your liver, but I'm still using it." So I thought that was kind of funny. But it just makes sense. They're already implementing the Monty Python Meaning of Life movie where they come to take your liver. So, but anyway, but they have their own share of events. So all these guys are working toward this same one goal, okay? One with one life. I mean, coming out with that Bob Marley movie right now. One love, one heart, which is a great song. But great meaning behind that song. But their meaning is not a good meaning. Their idea of one has nothing to do with God, and love has everything to do with you submitting to their authority. So here, some outline of their mobilization, and they're talking about, and they call it Mobilization Day. Like we're mobilizing. It's like what you say in a Milla of the Terry term, which we know is something that, I'll talk about that in a second. But here they talk about the youth. They want to give youth a role, but they're not really trying to give youth any real voice. They just want to lower that age for youth so they can take advantage of youth. And same thing with women and other things it sounds good, but they're really not trying to help you out. Okay, so let's keep going here. Here you have it, right? Here's the headline, and it says, "New to the UN backed legal recommendations normalize SE to the X with minors, outraged critics say." So this is what they want with the youth. This is what the U to the N is trying to do with the youth. They're not trying to, let's see what the youth have to say. No, it's not about that. It's all about this. It's all about children consenting, as it says right here, to be with adults. So that's their objective with that. And along with that, they keep using these terms throughout their documentation. You'll see it over and over again, where they say no one left behind. No one left behind. And it reminded me of this program back in the early 2000s, where it was no to the child to the left of the behind. And, they're not really interested in helping kids. And when they say no to the one to the left behind, what they mean is everyone's going to be accountable. Like, yeah, even you living in the mountains thinking you're hiding from the government, we're going to get you too. Everybody who is, out there in their little pagodas, in their little teepees, wherever you're hiding, we're coming for you, is what they're saying. No one's going to be left behind. Everyone's going to be part of this. Like, in other words, and they're saying it to the nations too. Like, you're not going to opt out of this. Oh, no. Oh, you won't be left behind. Oh, no, you're going to be part of this too. Right. So that's the whole thing, is to get everybody on board, to force everyone to get on board. So here's the regions that they're looking at in terms of their domination. You can see that there. It's kind of cut off a little bit there. Let's see if I can move that down a smidge. So this is the world regions in the S to the D to the G framework of the U to the N. And this is their vision, how it's going to map out. There won't be nations anymore. There will be regions, right? Just like the Hunger Games. And you will have to comply within your region. Okay, so let's look at this biblically. So the scripture is, then he shall confirm a covenant with many for 1 week, but in the middle of the week he shall bring an end to sacrifice and offering, and on the wing of abomination shall be one who makes desolate, even until the consummation which is determined is poured out on the desolate. Okay, now we've gone over the scripture many times. There's lots of ways to look at it. You can look at it from a Jesus standpoint and so forth. But right before this, we say, okay, is it a he? Well, interesting, the word he is not technically there. Okay, it just says gabar barit, so confirm covenant. Now, it's implied because right before that, it talks about the prince who is to come, who will destroy the city and the sanctuary. Now, right before that, it talks about the Messiah that's cut off, but not for himself. We know that to be Jesus Christ. It is assumed, with pretty good assumption, I would say, that this prince is not talking about the Messiah because he was cut off. Now, you could technically say, well, Jesus could come back, I suppose, and destroy the city and sanctuary, kind of like when he drove out the money changers in the temple, and he is going to come back and cleanse his temple, so to speak. But would he destroy the city? I don't really see that in Scripture. He comes back to reign in the city for the millennial reign. So it really does seem like it's pointing to another individual. The fact that he also sets up an abomination of desolation, don't think Jesus is going to be doing that. So we kind of got a double prophecy here. We've got Messiah involved, and we've got this other prince who comes in. So it says he shall confirm a covenant. Now you can say Christ confirmed a covenant in the sense if it's 7,000 years, that's a week. So you could argue that side of it. But it does also seem to point to the possibility, and God does like to do these kind of layers of fulfillment, and he's clever, he's very what am I going to say? He's operating at another level. His ways are higher than our ways. So he's able to layer these prophecies, that they can apply to both. But the idea, okay, that this guy, this Antichrist, may indeed confirm, based on this scripture, a covenant with many for 1 week, or what we would consider 7 years, right? Well, it just so happens that they are doing that this year. They are confirming this 7-year covenant. Now, you could ignore that and say, oh, no, that can't be it. I don't know. Okay. But you might be missing out if you do that. Now, my recommendation would be at least consider it, right? At least consider it. If it turns out, hey, that wasn't it at all, well, what harm did it do you to at least be aware, to at least be ready, to at least be prepared, right? But to just kind of ignore it doesn't seem too wise. Okay, so confirming come for 1 week. So who is he, right? Well, again, it doesn't explicitly say the word he, so you could argue maybe it's more of a group collective, but further up here it does say the people of the prince, and that is a specific individual, the word nagid, which means prince or ruler. So that seems a little bit more specific, that we're talking about an individual. But it's also collective because there's obviously a lot of people involved in getting this done. So let's talk for a minute about the great of the re to the set, okay? Now, you've probably heard this term, and would you believe? I'm sure you would by now, but maybe this is news to you. But it was a plan drawn up by the W to the E to the F, and it was launched by this man here, okay? Same guy, Mr. Chuckster. He's the guy behind the great to the re to the set. And it's actually on his own website as well as the W to the E to the F. Now, what is this great to the re to the set? Well, one of the things they want to do is they want to build to the back to the better, okay? And go down a little further here. They talk about it in here. They talk a lot about rebuilding things, right? Rebuilding, because it's we're resetting things, right? We're changing the way it was before, and we're resetting. It's a good chance. This poison is a perfect chance. Us poisoning everyone is a perfect opportunity for us to then reset everything. And if that wasn't enough, we'll do something else, and we'll get that to reset everything. But we'll get there. That's their plan, right? So it literally says here their endorsements. Now, again, who came up with this? That dude, right? Chucky. Chucky was the one. Not, Mr. O or Mr. T or, Mr. B who's in the office now or anybody else. They endorsed it. They support it. And again, you could argue there's people behind Chucky as well, but nevertheless, he's the figurehead. He's the guy behind it. Okay, so we have to deal with the actual figurehead they're presenting. And they have endorsed the idea of building to the back to the better, as you see right there. And it talks more about building back of the stronger and so forth. Well, and then here it further talks about the great to the re to the set, and it says, this is from Mr. Prince of the Wales to the Chuckster, okay? So, and it's also on these other places as well. Now, as we pointed out before, isn't it convenient the phrase they choose to use happens to, could be spelled with 3 lowercase b's. It also looked like 666. That's very intriguing. Now, here they're using it over the actual 17 goals. They're using that phrase, building to the back to the better, okay? So there it is again, 666, that they're putting over these 17 goals that they're presenting. And here they're using it as well on the actual U to the N website. So it kind of shows you like who's really in charge here, because who's following who, right? Who's directing all of this. And so he's the guy behind this whole thing, and they're echoing that and saying, yeah, we're going to do that. And so here they literally say, building to the back to the better and advancing the S to the D to the G's, right? And that's on the U to the N website. Now notice these colors, they appear everywhere. You see a little thin line of them there, but you'll find that everywhere. It's kind of like the marker. The marker. Mark. I wonder if there might be a connection there, okay? And this is also on another U to the N of the website. Once again, they use that term, how the S to the D to the G's can guide us to build to the back to the better, okay? So they're using that phrase. It's like a wink-wink between them, like, yeah, right, we're all on the same team here, right? We all use the same terminology. Well, here's the man, and this is on his website, the Royal to the dot to the UK. And as you see, the connection here of the great to the re to the set at the very end of the page, they're the hashtag, and we see it connected to the sustainer of the bull, markets of the initiative. Now, haven't we been talking about these sustainable? Haven't we been talking about that already? The develop to the mint, the goals? Yes, we have. So what we have here is two arms. Think of an octopus, okay? They often use Spectre from, James Bond, right? Think of an octopus. An octopus has many tentacles, okay? So you got the tentacle of the U to the N, and you got to deal with like the nations and the leaders and all of that, get them to sign on. But then you also have the people. You want to get them kind of fired up on, so you put them on their phone. You make it fun and flashy and clever. And, oh, well, who wouldn't want to support that and all that kind of stuff? And then you have sort of the philosophical, i.e. religious side of it, where you get people kind of, from a standpoint of doing what is right and doing what is good and all of that. And so he kind of sits back as sort of the man on the mountain, the granddaddy, the poobah of them all, to kind of be like, oh, well, it's just wonderful, isn't it? Isn't it great? While he has the heavies do all the, the heavy lifting and the heavy pushing and the heavy whacking on the heads. And he just kind of sits back and like, oh, I just love it, don't you? And so he's sort of the poobah behind it, okay? And so he's got it. This is on his website. So you see the connection there between the great to the re to the set and the sustainable goals. You see those two connections there? See how one thing leads to another. Okay, this is also on his page as well, all about sustainability. For more than 5 decades, Chucky has used his unique position to champion action for a sustainable future. Okay, so anyway, yes, so since 1970, I've showed you some of those pictures before. So this has been in works for a long time, guys. I mean, they've been priming this and priming this and priming this. And since he was 21, well, you think he just came to that on his own at 21? Or did he have a lot of help in that regard? As we know, a lot of things were planned for him ahead of time, including his crest and the red dragon and all that. We've talked a lot about that. We simply cannot waste any more time. The only limit is our willingness to act, and the time to act is now. So he's just the earnest, heartfelt voice behind it all. I mean, surely he's not the mastermind of any sinister plan. He just wants to see the world be a better place. That's all he really cares about, right? And so here, interestingly, in this title, they call him the first climate KING. And I thought that was kind of interesting, like wink, wink. So what does that mean? The first, meaning, will there be more? That's the first question you ask. The second is there such a type of KING as a climb of the 8 KING? And they're basically declaring him. He is the KING of all of this. You see? He's the one behind it. He's the one in charge. He is the king, as they like to say. So, not what I would like to say, but that's what they like to say. So here it is, the actual website for the sustainable of the markets of the initiative. And, of course, he's right there smack on the front page, ready to welcome you into this world of wonder. It's also known as the Terra of the Carta. Doesn't that just sound good? That sounds real nice. Oh, the terracotta. It's almost like a special kind of artwork or, isn't it terracotta? Terracotta. It's almost like a nice fine wine. And look at your terracotta, veranda. So anyway, Terra of the Carta. Yes. He says, the terracotta offers the basis of a recovery plan that puts nature, of course, before people and planet at the heart of global value creation. One that will harness the precious, irreplaceable power of nature, not people, combined with the transformative innovation and resources of the private sector. Okay, so this is you. Okay, you are the private sector. I am the private sector. So he's the ambassador to you, while the other guys do the heavy lifting of all the laws and getting the nations to sign and all that. He just sits back and I'm just here for the people. I'm here for the private sector to get all of them on board with my plan. Because he's the one you're going to be bowing down to. So he can't be the heavy. He can't be the meano. He has to be the one who's like, oh, he loves us. He really loves us. Oh, of course I would bow down to such a wonderful beast. No, I wouldn't, but that's what people will say because, hey, he gave me some bugs to eat today. I'm very happy. I got my daily supply of bugs. Oh, thank you. It's kind of what they do over there in north of the core of the Ia. They bow down to the emperor, right? They're so thankful that they had a grain of rice to slowly digest in their empty stomach. Here in the world to the E to the F, you see again the 6 to the 6 to the 6 there, very similarly. And they have it on their website. So this is on their website. This is a page just devoted to his great to the re to the set, because he's really the man behind it all. And there he is in all his splendor. He's for the people. He loves the people. I just love the people. And then here we have another page. Oh, hey, thanks for subscribing there. Appreciate it. Praise the Lord. And thanks for supporting the channel, guys, because it really does help. And if you can share these videos, guys, people need this information. They're not getting it. And that's what I don't get. I'm like, why don't more people get this information? So please share the videos too. Thank you so much. A golden opportunity. So here we see another page where he is speaking, and these are all the leaders. But these guys are definitely pawns to him. I mean, it's not like he's under Gutierrez, I don't think. who's the guy for the U to the N and so forth. And there he is giving the speech, not Gutierrez or anybody else. It's him, guys. He's the one. He's at least the public leader of all this, okay? That's what you have to understand. And all we know in the Bible is that that's the public leader. We don't really, Satan is the one behind it all, But this guy, Mr. James Bond villain, he's underneath Chucky, okay? That's what you have to understand. He's not really behind it. He's just underneath Chucky. He's following orders from the Chuckster. Chuckster's the guy who's really in charge of all this. And this is the actual W to the E to the F site, and you can get clues just from their main website. Now, again, they're for the people, so they're not so as outward yet. But the first thing they're talking about is sustainable of the food of the systems. So there you go. Sustainable food system. Don't we already have a sustainable food system? Well, we did until these guys got involved. And they want to, hey, thanks so much for subscribing. Appreciate that. They want to control your food to the point. Their idea of sustainable food systems is you not having any. And whatever you do have is either synthetic or disgusting, like eating bugs or something else. So that's what they're out to do. And then if you go a little further down, you just kind of reveal just from the things that are on the title. Like I like this one. It says, humans have pumped so much groundwater that Earth has shifted on its axis. I.e., we're not going to let you pump any water anymore. We're going to have to deliver water. My water didn't come today. Oh, we're sorry. But the Earth is shifting on its axis. So I'm sorry, but you can't pump that water out of your faucet. You can't have it come out of your faucet. Are you kidding? No. You're going to have to wait till it rains, or whatever. So so that's how they set this up. That's how they set this stuff up. But they have a front like we're just for the people. Now you may remember I did this video. This is over in one of these. It's in probably several of them. Like it's in this one, I think. Yeah, right here. Where Chucky ushers in the one to the world to the governor of the mints, and basically in that speech, as we know, if I can get back over there, where was I? Ooh. But the children love the books. Okay. So, all right, let me go back over here. So anyway, but in this, in this video, they describe it right here, and he literally says, "We need a war to the like to the footing." He also says, "A Milla to the Terry style of the campaigns." So it's all about, we're going to force you to do this, is what he's saying. And then with trillions at quote-unquote his disposal. So who is he who has this at his disposal? Well, we've gone over this before. He's the only guy who has trillions at his disposal. Even if you want to count like MBS, who is the Saudi prince that some people think could be, or someone like, or certainly Erdogan doesn't have trillions at his disposal, for example, or Mr. T or Mr. O, or the Saudi prince only has like 1 billion or 1.2 billion or something. So he doesn't even have trillions plural. But this guy we've gone over before does. He does have trillions at his disposal when you consider all his net worth, because he owns all the land of all the nations that are under him, technically. So he's the only one. Not even the POPE. He doesn't have trillions either. So who has that? He's the only one that even has that. So it's ironic. He kind of gives a wink as he's talking about himself in this speech. Nobody else really has that. Here's another speech he gives. Oh, look at the colors he uses. Now, this was back before these colors became so popular. I think it was like 20 of the 20s. But here he is. But his is a little different. It's not just a ring. Like we see the rings and we see the stripes. But his has the little plumes. Ooh, why does he get special plumes? Because it's like a crown, see? The crown of who? Well, the Black Prince, of course. And we've gone over that in other videos. But as you can see, 666 is exactly 666 of the lines above it. So, it's pretty clear this guy is the one in charge of all this, at least publicly, right? That's the guy they're putting out there. There's nobody higher than him publicly that we know about. Now, that's why it's important that we go beyond the September event of the governmental arm of this effort, and we go to the the more spiritual, philosophical, what they dub that way anyway, the more people, the arm of the people, which is really this event more accurately. The other one is sort of like, yeah, we got to push this through, and it's part of it, sure. But this is where he is going to be. So if he is the one confirming it, it stands to reason that this may actually be the ultimate culmination of that, as stated on their website. Now, what's interesting about this picture here, as I mentioned before, is it has a pale horse in it. And the pale horse described in the Bible is kind of a pukey yellow-green, like we're looking at right now. That's what the pale horse is. It has a pale horse right there. So how perfect that is. But it literally says here on the COP site, it says, we are at the halfway point. It has been 7 years since Paris, with 7 years to go to 2030, right? So that is what they're doing. They're confirming this final 7 years at this event. They're getting the sort of the politics out of the way in September, and then we will have this as the actual culmination of that. Now, why is that significant, that of this event in November, early December versus September? Well, we'll talk about that in a second. But it says, when is the conference and who is attending? Okay, and this one talks about, it says he's attending, but it's really odd. It says he's attending twice. So it's almost like a chiasmus or something. It says, for example, Mr. B and Mr. Chucky and others will attend the COP, and says they'll be speaking with other delegates such as Chucky. Now, what's interesting is they put 27, even though it's 28. It says right up here 28, but here for some reason they put, they attended. Okay, they attended the previous one. And, right, in Egypt. Okay. And then, and so it says such as King Chucky, right, that they have here. So it's interesting that they kind of name him twice there in that article, just kind of popped out to me. But anyway, so he gets together, he pulls the team together and has a roundtable discussion with the people who are going to be leading this. Who's heading this up? Not this guy. Okay, this guy's name is Dr. Sultan Al-Jabbar, and he is the UAE Minister of Industry and Advanced Technology and the president designate of the COP2 to the 8. So he's the one who's supposedly in charge, but he's not. Chucky is the one in charge. He's the one pulling everybody together and having this meeting about how things are going to go. Now, one of the things they talk about, now here's some pictures from that, and of course he's the one who lit off the 6 years and the 24 days. He's the one, guys. He's the one behind it. I mean, you can't deny it. You can't deny it. You can't tell me there's nobody else. Mr. T is definitely not behind this. Mr. O is definitely not behind this. They may play a role at some point, but as of right now, this is the dude. This is the dude. It's pretty clear. And here he is leading this roundtable discussion because basically he's saying, okay, yeah, you're pretending to be the president and go, Mr. Jabbar, and go in there and do it, but I'm the real guy in charge, and I'm going to tell you what you're going to be doing at that meeting, right? So he's the one pulling them together and having this meeting with them. Now, what's interesting about this, one of the things they want to do is to try to get below or have a goal of getting down to 1.5 degrees Celsius. So they set these goals, and it's like, if you can't get below that goal, then, man, we're going to have to take your car away. I'm sorry. You're going to have to walk more. You're going to have to ride your bike. You're going to have to, you're going to have to give up heat in your house. Sorry, we can't heat your house because we got to hit that goal. It's all about goals. See, that's how they willingly get you to participate, because otherwise you're going to be bucking and say, hey, I'm free. I can do whatever I want. But it's for the planet. It's for the planet. And we're going to have to take credit scores off. We saw that you turned the heat up a little bit there. Sorry, we're going to have to remove some of the points from your credit score. You will not get to eat lunch this week. Sorry. But hey, next time, keep it down, okay? I know it gets chilly at night. I know. Throw out an extra blanket, or it gets a little too hot. I know. But you're just going to have to... you're just going to have to go jump in a river or something. But you can't do that. No. Okay. So anyway, so he gets together. So this happened on July 10th, I believe, or thereabouts. This was July 13th that they all got together like this. And look who's at the discussion too. It's Mr. B. He's not leading it. You know the guy who leads the USA? That guy's not in charge. This guy, Chucky, the second to the right, that's the guy in charge of this meeting, not Mr. B. Now, Mr. B did go to see the Chuckster, but not because he's in charge. He's just getting his orders. He's getting his orders from the KING, right? And it says he shakes things up with the meeting. Oh, yes, he does. Shakes things up. Is that pointing to the earthquake that's coming? About to shake things up. Scripture. Okay, so very interesting. And here it just shows what a buffoon Mr. B is, so that he can look less than, so that our country can seem less than, and this Chuckster can be in control, so they call him Mr. Magoo. Mr. B, they call him Mr. Magoo. And so, that's the whole plan, is to make the USA look like a laughingstock, while this guy, and not that this guy is much more together, but anyway, then they try to bring in the Q to try to convince you. But anyway, so this is from the official White to the House page, and this was put out by Mr. B. Okay, this is his propaganda, and he's talking about that he's the president, but this other guy is His Majesty. At his disposal. You mean of His Majesty? King Chucksty the Third. We'll talk about that in a second. But anyway, so what does he talk about there in here? Does he talk about the upcoming September meeting in this? No, he talks about the COP, because that's the real important one, because that's where perhaps the man of sin will be revealed. So here, several times he talks about, now this is supposedly Mr. B who wrote this, right? Of course, we know other people wrote it, but is representing him. So today's gathering builds on long-standing UK-US efforts to turbocharge the net zero resilient transition already underway in developing and emerging economies on the road to COP2 of the 8. And he has a couple references in here. Let's see what the next one is. It says building. There's that building again. Building on today's important event. So this was on July 10th when he met with him, I think. The COP to the 28th President-designate United Arab Emirates will host a high-level business and philanthropy. See, it's business and philanthropy, so they're trying to get to the common person, trying to get all the businesses on board so that your business is now going to be held accountable to this. During the World Leaders to the Climate to the Action Summit, the forum will focus on removing barriers to progress, showcasing what is working, and identifying opportunities for collaboration and acceleration. Because we got to hit that goal. Builder's vision, okay? And a couple more here. So 8 times I mentioned the COP in here. We're embarking on a new project of work of the Green Hydrogen Standard at the CO to the P as we continue to scale up. They even talk about Black to the Rock in here. It's like, wow. Talking about what they did. Okay. A couple more of this. Let's see. This includes developing and delivering concrete integrity guidelines by COP20 for the use of carbon. For the use of carbon credits. Wow. It says it right there. For the use of carbon credits in incentivizing earlier coal retirement, avoiding the planned release of millions of tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Not that the trees would mind, because, trees, hey, thanks for subscribing. The trees suck in carbon dioxide. That's how trees survive. And you know what they give you? Oxygen. Isn't that great? But instead of them planting trees, they're like, no, we got to get rid of carbon dioxide. Stop breathing. We're going to have to get rid of people because they keep breathing out that carbon dioxide. That's why you have trees. And then they breathe out oxygen. Isn't that great? It's symbiotic. But no, they want to instead give you carbon credits. Oh, you've used up all your carbon credits today. Sorry, George. Sorry, you can't breathe anymore. They're increasing their funding for climate initiatives ahead of COP. Oh, wow. Wow. Okay, so you get the idea. The initiative, okay, this is the line I'm looking for right here. The initiative will be formally launched at CO to the P, okay? That's when the initiative is formally launched. So even though, yes, you have this initial thing in September, it's really not formally launched until CO to the P to the 2-8. He didn't talk at all about the September meeting in here. He didn't talk about S to the D to the G's either. He just talked about the COP to the 28. Okay. The Great Seal of the Realm. Well, a couple more thoughts here before I wrap up what I'm sharing with you. There is a great seal that kings have used throughout time. When they want to stamp a document, say, the king sent this. This is from the king. Don't open it. It's sealed by the king, and things like that. Well, could this point to the mark of the beast, that we too are going to get sealed on our foreheads or on our right hands? Of course, not we, because I don't want to be. I'm not going to be one of those people. I will be sealed by the Lord with his mark. But could this be the seal with which they're going to seal people on their foreheads and right hands? Now, we know people are already using palm scanners, already using iris scanners and things like that. But I do have a feeling, not to mention it's in the Bible, that they're going to do something official because they want to own you. That's really what it is. They want to treat you like cattle and brand you. It's in them. It's just in them, that desire to want to have power over you. They want to put things in your body. They want to stamp things on your forehead and on your hand. They want to mark you, So could this point to that? Now, this is something that's been used throughout history. The Q who just passed, she had a great seal. Chuckster has a seal as well, as it says on their website, talking about the Great Seal of the Realm. Okay, now what's interesting, here's supposedly his seal that's been put forth. This was before he got Korah of the natives, so it may change, but it's this image here with the crown, okay, above a C and an R. Now, C stands for Chuckster, R stands for Ray or King, and then you got the 3 in the middle there, okay? Well, what's interesting is he has these emblems that he's been using. Now, of course, we know about his coat of arms. We've gone over that in great detail. He also had this coronation emblem that was made. Well, the same designer who did this also designed, now notice there's a crown in the middle of that, and there is a C and an R in the word of coronation. Now, I know it's not official, it doesn't say, it's not exactly the same insignia, but it's kind of interesting because in all of these there happens to be those elements. The same person also designed this. Now, this is what they're using. This is probably what you'll see all over town in your 15-minute city. You'll see this on, it's all for terracotta. Do it for terracotta. Do it for the earth. Do it to save us all. Right? So you're going to see these kinds of things probably stamped everywhere. And it's so pretty and beautiful. And you'll see it on coins probably and things like that in this new dystopia that they're forming. But they're selling it to you like something. But notice it's very similar to his insignia. It's got his crown on it. Now, if this was just for the earth, right? Why would you have to put your crown on there? Take the crown off. It's about the earth. It's not about you, right? It's not about you being in control, you being in charge. Now, it was pointed out before that the two ends of the crown look like axes that are about to come down on your head. Off with the head. So it says, for the harmony of nature, not people, then people and planet. And under their Concordia Natura Hominin of the planet, Te. But what's interesting, there's a C and there's an R under there too. So technically, and then you got these 3 dots here. Now in Terra Incarta, you have the C and the R, and you have these 3 dots on the side. So technically, you could argue it's kind of hidden, but it's there. Like his insignia is in these as well, and you can't deny the crown that is at the top of them. And here is the new one. Okay, when you thought it couldn't get any better than this. All right, so it's enough that he wants to own the world, but now, this is no joke, he wants to own space. Doesn't get much more Antichrist than that. I mean, he gets out as dictatorial as you want to be. He wants to own the heavens and the throne of heaven as well, as we know. So, Astracarta, this is not fake, this is real. It's a real thing. So this is the next level that they're taking it to. He's got the earth. Now he wants space as well, the Astracarta, to care for the infinite wonders of the universe. Now, what's interesting about this, a couple things. Again, of course, we've got the crown and we've got the C and the R. So technically his logo is built in there as well. But there is some animation of this, of the stars going around. We could spend a lot more time just counting the planets and the star. I think it was like 11 planets plus 1 in the middle. I think it was like 13 maybe total with that star above. Anyway, something to think about there. But it gets deeper than this, and this is the same person who did this Terra Carta emblem. So this could be, going on the vehicles and so forth. Now, what is Astra Carta? Okay, well, Astra Carta is something that basically they want to control space. Now, this is put out by the Sustainable of the Markets Initiative. Wait, that looks familiar. That's right. It's all part of the same controlling objective. They want to control everything. So they're not just going to control the Earth and what you do on the Earth and how you live on the Earth, but we're going to control what you do in space. So no more sending up those pet project rockets and your drones and all those things you want to send up there. Nope. And they want to criminalize, talking about legal ramifications of what you do in space. So now they're going to, they're going to take you to jail because you sent up your model rocket into space and then things like that, because we don't want you exploring up there and finding out about the firmament and what's really going on. So anyway, but this is put out by the SMI, the same guys, the Sustainable to the Markets Initiative, which is under Terra Carta, which is under King Chuckster, if you want to call him such. Now, here's interesting. There's different designs in here that are kind of intriguing. Here it kind of looks like you got these swirls that could be deemed sixes as well, depending on how you want to look at it, those little swirly cues that are in there. Sacred geometry. Now, the phrase on there says converse miraculous infinitus mundis, or mundi, which means the converse of the miraculous infinite world. Well, I thought that was interesting. The converse of the miraculous infinite world? Well, converse can mean opposite. In other words, we're going to create the opposite of a miraculous infinite world. It's going to be hell in space. So I thought that was really interesting. Like, instead of the miraculous infinite world, you're going to live under my dominion, says the Antichrist, the converse of the miraculous infinite world. Now, when I was looking up this term Carta Astra, I found this song, Carta Astral, and I thought that was kind of interesting. It had the astrological signs behind it. Then I put that in the translator, Carta Astral, and it means astral chart. So you're even talking about astrology and the connections there with this Terra, or this Astra Carta, kind of talking, already pointing at the occult, so to speak. Okay, here's on his website now. He unveils the Astra Carta seal at the Space Sustainability Reception. Ooh, and there it is. And there he is. And there you've got Brian May of Queen. What? What's he doing there? Well, he turns out he's an astrophysicist, I guess. He became an astrophysicist after his career as a guitarist in Queen. So he's there with them as well. So very intriguing stuff. So just when you thought they own the world, they own the universe. Woo-hoo! So they think. But the real owner is about to come back and reclaim his property. Amen? Woohoo! Claim me, Lord. I belong to you, not these psychopaths. They will not mark me. I will not be their property. Maybe that's part of the mark, it's like that you're becoming his property, and that's one of the reasons you can't be saved, because you've become the property of Satan. So it's like, you've sold your soul to the devil. But here's the Astra Carta, and there's the Terra Carta is similar to that as well. Here's a quote for him about this. He says, and with him, it's always, I've just always felt like this. It's not like I'm really plotting anything evil, or that everything relates to 666, or that, I want to control every aspect of your life. I've just always felt that space is rather like the oceans here on Earth. We think them so vast and so alien that we don't give too much thought to what we do. But we have to start seeing the immediate space around our precious planet as part of its environment. We now recognize we have a duty to protect the oceans. We must also accept that we have a duty to protect the wider cosmos. Having launched my Terra Carta for the planet in 2021, we're now working to create an Astra Carta to offer a similar framework for sustainability in space. It would build, wink wink, on the Artemis Accords to establish both peaceful but crucially sustainable, wink wink, space exploration, something to be agreed by all nations. Just as we are finally coming together to protect the natural world here on Earth, let us now come together to protect the boundless and potentially bountiful worlds beyond. Signed, Ray Chucky III. Yeah. So that's the dealio there, guys. They own you before you even know what happened. Before you even know what's hit you, you're going to have a stamp on you that says, oh, this guy, he's human carta. He's Magna Carta. We're going to stamp him before you even get out of your car. So interestingly, this is a part of the Terra Carta, what it says here in Terra Carta. Let me just read you a little bit of this so you can get some of the vibe. It says, an increasing, and he's behind all this, so just keep that in mind. An increasing number of corporations are adopting ES to the G methodologies and highlighting their SD to the G aligned investments. However, it's time to move to unified one world control metrics, global one world control standards, and mandatory disclosure. Disclosure, mandatory disclosure. That's you. You're going to have to mandatorily disclose what are you doing to achieve these objectives and how are you falling short. It's going to have, there's going to be repercussions. Let me just say. There is a movement toward convergence of existing global, i.e. one world, standards among the standard setters, and that is important. So you got to read through there, because they paint it as something beautiful. So you got to read through what they're really saying, because they really don't. They really aren't trying to help you. Okay, let's be clear about this. It says, and this is important. Industry has emerged as an important voice in this convergence movement. See, we're converging. You're no longer an individual. We're converging and all becoming one. Not one with what you want, but one with what they want, including through the world to the economic to the for to the international business council stakeholder capitalism common metrics. That's a long title, don't you think? Developing a single, i.e. one world, global, i.e. one world, standard for non-financial E to the S to the G reporting, which includes reporting on sustainability, will accelerate the ability of people to trust that the goods and services they buy are socially owned. Now here's the key, okay? Here's the key. It includes reporting, okay? So you're going to have to report. Everybody's going to have to report. You're now going to answer to the big guy, the big chuckster in the sky, because he's going to be in the sky too. Space, as he likes to call it. Because the spirit of the air, that's who we're fighting against. The spirit, our battle's not against flesh and blood, but the spiritual powers of the air. So he's already protecting the demons, the angels that are going to fall out of the sky, the stars that are going to fall. He's already, with his Astra Carta, trying to cover for them too. So it says, which includes reporting on sustainability, will accelerate the ability of people to trust that the goods and services they buy are socially, environmentally, and ethically produced. So you're going to have to start reporting that you are socially. See, socially, who judges that? Oh, that's not socially appropriate. I saw your comment on Twitter. I saw what you said over there, or X. I saw what you said there. I saw what you wrote there. I saw what you did there. I wouldn't buy his products. Can't buy or sell. He doesn't have the mark. He doesn't have the seal of the realm. Through new technologies, we have the ability to tag. There it is. Through new technologies. See, they couldn't do it before now. You couldn't do it during the second WAR because they didn't have the technology, but they got it now, don't they? Through new technologies, we have the ability to tag, track, and trace supply chains in unprecedented ways, they say with the Cheshire Cat grin. So it is time to make this level of transparency the norm. Actions that the private sector, i.e. you and me, and other relevant economic actors, they're relevant, could adopt that will further the ambition and deliver the results required. So what are the keywords here? Mandatory. Mandatory reporting, mandatory tracking, tagging, tracing in unprecedented ways. Don't you look forward to that? Okay, a few more thoughts here before I wrap this up. Got to hurry up and wrap this up. So I got to take care of some family matters. 2 Thessalonians 2 says, let no one deceive you in any way. If you can keep praying for my family, I appreciate that. For it will not be unless the departure comes first and the man of sin is revealed, the son of destruction. Now, we've gone over this in great detail before, but I just want to point out here, September, right? September's kind of falling right there on the cusp of when we may be whisked away. And I put this forth in the Two Witnesses videos and other videos talking about what's coming up here in the fall. So be sure to watch those. But what's interesting here, it says, for it will not be, now this is specifically talking about our gathering to him. It says the coming of our Lord and our gathering together to him. Now, obviously this was something they could be deceived about, right? Because they were like, hey, don't be worried about what people are telling you. It's not like Jesus already came. Well, aren't we all going to know when Jesus comes? So this seems to indicate it's something a little bit more like there's signs we have to look for, and then it could have happened, and maybe we missed it. So that's what it seems to point to. Otherwise, he would just say, well, of course you're going to know when Jesus comes back. If the sky's going to open, he's going to come back with all his angels. He's going to come down. We're going to reign with him. We'd be reigning with him right now otherwise. But he doesn't say that. He says, no, that's not going to happen until these things happen. Interesting. So he says, let no one deceive you. He says, for it will not be unless the departure comes first. That word is literally apostasy, which comes from the word aphistome, which means to stand apart or to leave or to depart from. And the man of sin is revealed. Now, interesting, the order. It says the departure comes first, then the man of sin revealed. Well, if this event happens in September and he were there, which he's not going to be there, because, again, he separates himself from that because he doesn't want to be seen like he's political in any way. So he's not going to be at the political thing. He's going to be at the for the people thing because he's who you're going to bow down to. So you can't hate him like a politician. You got to love him like the chuckster that he is, because he really loves you and just wants to control you. That's all. And so for you to bow down to him, he's got to be on that side of the coin. But is he behind it? Obviously, absolutely, he's involved. So. And he's the only dude you can really go to as the dude at this point. So interesting, that it says the departure comes first, and then the man of sin is revealed after that, after the first. You could have put first at the end of both of those, but it puts first, and then you see man of sin revealed, son of destruction or perdition. So that's interesting because could it be that we have a departure somewhere around September when that first meeting takes place while they're saying peace and safety, right? Peace and safety, destruction comes. Maybe a destruction comes of some kind, and then he comes in at this second meeting and says, oh, tut, we have a plan. Don't worry, the world's not ending. Oh, my plan is just beginning. Take this mark and everything will go well with you. Oh, it's the aliens, the fake alien invasion. Well, yes, we got to make sure you're not an alien, so take this mark, and then we know we have to have this injection, of course. And then you'll be just fine. Okay, so that's the whole idea of that. So could it be that that we depart first, and then he's revealed at that point, because that's the point. That's the meeting he's going to be at. He's not going to be at the September meeting, at least not publicly, from what we understand, but he will be at that one, as he usually is, and with trillions at his disposal. So that's intriguing. And again, there's that word apostasy, which means to leave or depart, to stand apart from, properly a departure. So it does not mean rebellion or revolt. That's interpretation. But it literally means to depart or to leave from. That's what it actually means. Interesting. This says, referencing Darth Vader, I'm here to put you back on schedule. On schedule, he would say. Not schedule, but schedule. The Chuckster will attend the 2030 Agenda Acceleration Summit. Well, that's what it says in the title, but it doesn't show any indication in the actual article that he's going to be at the September one, although it's pretty clear he would be at the COP to the 2 to the 8, and that he's definitely overseeing that one, probably making the keynote speech. Behold a pale horse. So, and that one goes from November 30th to December 12th. COP stands for Conference of the Parties. The parties. Are you in the party? The party line? Are you towing the party line? Okay, so interesting. That's what's happening there. A few more thoughts here. Okay, so he officially goes by Charles 111, or the third, as we like to call him. What's interesting about that title or that name is when you put it in here for gematria, Charles literally equals 66. And the 111, or III, Roman numerals, is 999 in English, which upside down is 666. Or if you put it in Hebrew, it is 666. Right? So that's always kind of fun. And then you've got this Monster Cola, which is kind of very similar to that with the 111 Hebrew alphabet 666. So a couple more thoughts on some dates here before I wrap this up. And that is, we're looking at the fall feasts, and what I feel spiritually, I'm praying right now to see what I should share, what I'm feeling. Well, let me just say this. I feel like looking at the fall is a good place to look. September, for some reason, seems to be strong. Let me just say that. There seems to be something spiritually that says something strong about September. Now, could it be because they're having this meeting in September? That could be it. Could it be because there's a major event, a biblical event that happens at that time? That could be it. I don't want to say specifically anything because I don't ever want to lead anyone astray, and I don't ever want to say definitively anything because I'm not God and I don't make those decisions. But all I can say is I think it's a good time to have chicken, as he says in Evan Almighty. September 22nd, midday, it's a good time to have chicken. So that's all I'll say about that. Good time to have chicken and be looking at that time period. But let me show you a couple other thoughts on that. Again, go watch my 2 witnesses video to kind of get what I'm getting at, okay? Just go watch that video, and you're like, Mikhail, come on, tell us. Just go watch my 2 witnesses video, and that'll kind of answer what I'm sort of hemming and hawing about. But that's kind of what I was feeling. I was waiting to get past this whole July 26th thing that everybody was so focused on because I really felt much more strongly about this time period, this September time period. I'm not saying anything's going to happen specifically. I'm just saying I felt more strongly about it. I didn't feel as strongly about July 26th. I just think this makes a lot more sense to me. So, without really saying anything, but go and watch my 2 witnesses video, and I think that will sort of tell you what I'm sort of getting at. But bottom line is, we've got Rosh Hashanah begins in late September, 17th, 18th. It says on this calendar. I think it's like a day off from this other calendar, which is 17th, 18th, or 16th, 17th. But then we've got Yom Kippur on roughly the 26th on this calendar. Which again, there's another 26 there, which is kind of cool because that's God's number. 726 was also very cool, but I just I didn't. Go watch my other videos. Go watch my other videos. I already covered it in other videos, so I won't say anything else about that. But amen. It's always good to be watching for the Lord to come, and it's always good to see what God is doing. But I think we really have to pay attention to what is actually happening in the world, because those are the things Jesus said to look for, right? He didn't just say to look up. Yes, we should look up. Our redemption draws near, but he did give us a lot of things to actually be physically looking for. So, and I think those are some of the things we're seeing coming into play, including the armies surrounding Israel and, Ezekiel 38, 39, Psalm 83, Damascus being destroyed. Now, those things don't necessarily have to happen prior to, say, a rapture happening. That could be more of a mid-trib thing, where he's before he starts his reign as the Antichrist officially for the final 3.5 years. So, it's not necessary, but it is interesting, as we saw there in Thessalonians, that first there's a departure, then the man of sin gets revealed. And does he get revealed? If he's the one making confirming the covenant, doesn't that kind of reveal him? If indeed that's the 7-year covenant, or are we counting revealing when he sets himself up in the temple? So you got to stay open. You can't be set on any one thing or you get disappointed, Don't set your heart on dates, set your heart on the Lord and serve the Lord. Amen. So a couple thoughts here. I was just kind of playing around with things. I'm like, because when I looked at this scripture, it says, not that one, but this one. Where's the earlier scripture I shared with you out of Daniel? Okay. So when it talks here about 62 weeks, I was just thinking about that 62 and 7. in 7 weeks. I'm thinking like 7 times 7, that's 49 and 62. So I was just kind of playing around with it a little bit. If we go from 9th of Av, 727, and we add 49 days, which would be 7 times 7, or 7 weeks. I mean, you could say, well, yeah, that's what it would be. That takes you to September 14th. And I'm like, well, that's getting kind of close to the date here of, the beginning of, actually, if we go to this one, well, no, I guess it would be the other one. But, it's kind of close to the start of Rosh Hashanah, of the new year. So I thought, that's kind of interesting. At least it takes you to the eve of Rosh Hashanah. So I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. And then I was playing with 62, and I'm like, well, if we take away 62, I was playing from like the end of all this, like December 12th. Now, also go back and watch this video, the 2300 days, because that one talks about the connection. There's 220 days between the crowning, between him being given a crown and the 12-12, which would be like him confirming the covenant on the last day of the COP event, let's say. So that's exactly 220 days. That goes along with the 2520. If you take the 220 off, you're left with 2300 days and nights. So check that out too, because that's very intriguing, and that ties in with all of this also. So 62, I didn't do 62 times 7. That's 483. So obviously it's not 483, but I did think 62. I'm like, okay. And I was looking at October 11th. I thought that's kind of interesting, because that lands on right when the two witnesses, as I talk about in the video, potentially begin their ministry at Simchat Torah. So kind of intriguing, something to consider. Not saying it's going to happen, but it's always fun to look at and consider those things. Couple last thoughts here before I wrap this up. The Chuckster had ordered that the heating be turned down in his royal homes to cut emissions, right? So supposedly, like, he's all for the environment stuff, but these guys are always liars. These guys are always, they get on the private jets, even though they say they want to help the environment and things like that. So when they actually audited him, or they looked into it, they still overspent last year. So even though, they're trying to save money, well, I don't think it's about money so much. It's more about, we're trying to help the environment, but they still ended up overspending, because they're not really trying to help anybody. They're really trying to control you. That's really the goal here. So here on the W to the E to the F website, if you can see that there, let's see if you can pull this down a little bit. They're saying why civic participation is key to meeting the sustainability targets. So in other words, why your participation is key. Well, obviously it's key. It's key because they want to control you. That's really the goal of all this. They want to control you. They want to get rid of you. So they're talking here about, we really have to get down to the individual level. We really got to help you, the person, the individual, do this. Even though if you really want to take care of the pull of the ocean, it's going to be all those factories. They're spitting out all that smoke. But it's so little compared to the vastness of the world. That it's kind of, the whole thing is ridiculous. But anyway, they want to when they talk about equality, right? What they're saying is, we're going to take your home, you'll own nothing, and you will love it, right? That's how we're going to make everything equal, because it's not fair that you have a house that you live in, right? While that guy in the street, he doesn't have a house, right? That's not fair. You think that's fair? And you're like, well, yeah, because I worked really hard for this house, and but that's not fair. That guy that so we're gonna have to take your house away. Of course, is he going to give up his castle? No, of course not. Is he going to give up his home? No, of course. Of course, they never give up anything. But they're going to take it from you, because we want to make everyone equal. We're not going to be equal, but you will all be equal. You'll be equally miserable and poor. You'll own nothing, and you'll hate it. But we'll say you love it. It's kind of like, in the movie Island, where he's like, that hurts. He's like, no, it doesn't. He's like, yes, it does. Like, it's hurting his eye, but he's like putting stuff in his eye. It's like, no, it doesn't hurt. So anyway, their plan goes beyond this year, guys. This year is just the kickoff. They've got a strategic plan, and it's all going according to plan now. And this is through 20 of the 25. And let me just show you a little bit of that plan. Now, here's something to look forward to at next September of next year. They're planning some global of the shocks. Basically, they want to shock us into change. It's not enough for us to agreeably go along with it, because that could take years, and we won't get it done by 2030. So instead, we're going to shock you into it. So basically, they're planning some events to force your hand to go along with their plan. They're not going to let another regular election take place, just like the last one wasn't regular in any way. So they're what's called the Summit of the Future, the Pact for the Future of our common agenda, right? It's our agenda, not your agenda. When they say our, they're talking about them. They're not talking about you. So what is this? What is this? Okay, let's take a look at this. Back this off a little bit. So here's kind of an outlook going through 2024. So here's this summit right now. This is just on this website here of the U to the N. So they're talking about September. They're not including COP because, that's separate. Oh, that has nothing to do with us, of course. Wink, wink, even though it's the exact same ring that Chucky had over his head there with the plumes and everything. So anyway, so you have 2023, that's September. Then you've got 2024, the Summit of the Future. And then 2024, the Pact for the Future, because you're going to have to sign on to this, baby. So they're moving forward. I mean, they're doing this 7-year plan. It's not like they're just waiting for Jesus, whether they should start this thing. They're doing it. So we have to deal with reality. We got to deal with the fact that this is actually happening. Is it the 7-year plan of Daniel 7? Well, it sure fits in a lot of ways. It'd be foolish of us not to consider it and respond accordingly. If it turns out, hey, that wasn't it at all, there's another 7 years. But I think there's a lot of other things that point to the fact that this looks like it could indeed be the end. It could be the end of us all, the end of the age, as Jesus talked about. The Summit for the Future. Oh, it sounds so nice. But it's not your future, it's their future. Your future is going to be miserable. Okay, so here's from a website who's basically saying, our mission is to prevent global of the Geno of the side by immediately exiting the WH to the O and the U to the N. Now is the time to undo the U to the N and the WH to the O. So people are trying to break free of this, and they're trying to stop the global COUP from happening. So, people are trying to resist. So, you can resist too. But resist in the spirit, amen? But now's the time to get right with God. Guys, thank you so much for your prayers and support for this channel. If you could hit that link, that subscribe button, and that notification bell. Please subscribe to us, of course, here at Micaiah Messenger. We're also at Micaiah Ministries, where we teach straight Bible. If you're into that kind of thing, I guess this is the most recent video I did there. Then also Micaiah Music, if you want to hear a song or two from yours truly. And then, of course, we've got the fellowship going on if you want to come over and hang out with us over there. And Chitty of the chat. But guys, now's the time. Repent and turn to God so that your sins may be wiped out, that times of refreshing may come from the Lord, and that he may send the Christ who has been appointed for you. Don't you want him to send the Christ? Well, you better repent then, for crying out loud. What are you waiting for? Now's the time to get right with God, guys. It's been awesome hanging out with you today. Give some quick shout outs to who I see. Blazing Torch, Sojourner Sunrise, A Little Imagination, A Little Less Conversation, and Visionary Vet, and Wild West, Wild West, and Celia. Guys, it's great to see everybody here. And may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you, be merciful to you. May the Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. Guys, I'm wishing you all the best and all the blessed, and Maranatha.